I remember back when George W. Bush was president and the Republicans controlled both houses of Congress. I remember thinking, if only we could get the Democrats to control both houses of Congress and we could get a Democrat as president, why, then all these attacks against the Constitution would end. Attacks under laws like the Patriot Act and the FISA Amendments Act. Well, now that's happened. A Democrat is president, and the Democrats control strongly both houses of Congress. But still, for some reason, the attacks against the Constitution continue under both the Patriot Act and the FISA Amendments Act. Barack Obama is continuing those programs just like George W. Bush had. And when it comes to Congress, well, in the Senate, there's the Judiciary Committee that has the responsibility to conduct oversight of these kinds of attacks against the Constitution, to make sure that the Constitution is actually obeyed, it's not just disregarded. So with the Patriot Act and the FISA Amendments Act and the massive government surveillance programs that turn out to be used against the American people and not really against terrorists or even suspected terrorists so much, it's the Senate Judiciary Committee that ought to be leading the way in reform now that the Democrats are in control, but that's not what's happening. The chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Patrick Leahy, is actually leading the way to prolong the FISA Amendments Act and the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was supposed to only last for a couple of years. You remember that? It had a sunset provision. That's come and gone a long time ago now, and now Senator Patrick Leahy has actually written the law to prolong the worst aspects of the Patriot Act, long past when they were supposed to be taking place. A couple of amendments were suggested to just require that, if you're going to violate the Constitution, the Fourth Amendment's protections against unreasonable search and seizure, if you're going to conduct government spying without any search warrant, at least just require that it's against suspected terrorists or suspected foreign spies or even just against any old target overseas. That's not so unreasonable, is it? But Patrick Leahy, he wouldn't have any of it. That leading Democrat in the United States Senate led 7 other Democratic members of the Senate Judiciary Committee to kill those amendments. Only 4 Democrats out of the 12 on that committee actually stood up for the Constitution, for the Bill of Rights, for goodness sakes. The other 8 voted just like the Republicans. They might as well be members of the Republican Party. I once thought that if Senator Patrick Leahy was in charge of the Senate Judiciary Committee under a Democratic president, we would see an end to the abuses against our constitutional rights that began under George W. Bush. But now I see the Democrats are trying to gain power just like George W. Bush was. It's a great disappointment for me. I don't trust the Republican Party. They showed that they will clearly abuse power, using the politics of fear. But now, I don't trust the Democratic Party either. Not with unscrupulous leaders like Senator Patrick Leahy, who once talked a good talk about fighting for our constitutional rights, but now that he has the power, he's not lifting a finger to help us.